Good morning, everyone. I request CA Dr. Fenil Sasar and CA Samir Chaudhary sir to escort our first session speaker, CA Niranjan Joshi sir, on the stage. Good morning, everyone, once again. A day before yesterday, during the T20 World Cup final, we were reminded of the one simple truth in the cricket. A strong opening sets the tone for the entire match. And similarly, the opening session of this two-day bank statutory audit seminar will set the tone for the discussion ahead. To begin the conference, on the right note, we are privileged to have us with CA Niranjan Joshi sir. Can we have a big round of applause for him? Allow me to introduce him. A fellow member of ICAI, practicing since 1997, with nearly 3 decades of the experience in the audit and assurance. CA Niranjan Joshi sir is a DISA qualified, certified IFRS, as well as a concurrent bank auditor, has a vast experience in the statutory bank audits of PSU as well as corporates. He is empaneled as a peer reviewer with the ICAI Peer Review Board, a technical reviewer with the Financial Reporting and Review Board, also serves with the Quality Review Board. A renowned speaker, he speaks at ICAI's various conferences since 2000. Also, he has been a contributor to the ICAI Bank Audit Guidance Note. He has guided many professionals across the country. Today, he will be guiding and speaking on the audit planning and documentation, the compliance with assets and CAQs. With that, I request sir to have a charge. Generally, we give moment to the speakers, but it's generous for him that he has said that will not accept the memento. Can we have a big round of applause for him? Sir, stage is yours. Thank you.
At the outset, thanks to Team Ahmedabad, the chairman and the members for giving me this opportunity. When I was going through the, program structure, I realized that, most of us are, when I was going through the program structure, I thought, I spoke here on the same topic last year as well. So I was happy that, when they gave me little bit of flexibility to, modify it and, try to cover something like probably CAQ or maybe documentation with respect to audit planning. And, I thought, okay, let me try to do that. So before I start, actually, I would like to know how many of you are aware of Center for Audit Quality Directorate and the material which they have hosted on their website. Are you aware that there is something like CAQ of ICAI? Can you raise hands? Okay, 1. Wow. 2, 3, 5. What about others? I think it's almost 5 years now we have established CAQ, Center for Audit Quality. And 2 important words I pick up from that, Directorate is not the word which I would pick up. Audit quality, And I remember, speaking at Ahmedabad for numerous occasions. I've never seen empty seats like this, And I think there is a correlation between these 2 words with these empty seats. And we must accept that, So when they told me that, okay, fine, you can cover something related to standards on auditing and audit quality, I thought, yes, that's the point where I can say yes. So thanks to you all for, pushing me through for the improvement of the quality. Coming to the bank audit per se, I feel that, this is an annual ritual and all of you will agree that once in a year we believe that we have to do this. Some of us get a chance to do it, some of us doesn't get a chance to do it. Those who get a chance to do it, they say that fine, now at least for 4 years we'll continue. Those who don't get a chance this year will say, okay, fine, next year we will get it. But nowadays the cooling period is like extended beyond the numbers, because there is no such cooling period. And because of the autonomy given to the banks, now the banks are selecting the branch auditors based on their requirements. And I think that's where, very importantly, the audit quality matters, So with this perspective, I would be taking you through some of my views on this annual exercise carried out by the banks. I was listening to the dignitaries on the dais in the inaugural session, and I found that most of them have got couple of very standard expectations. One was like you have to complete time within the timelines. Another one is that you have to follow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mostly talking about advances, the review, monitoring, supervision part where all of us as branch statutory auditors take place. But apart from that, there are so many things today that we have to cover, and especially after 28 November 2025, when RBI has come out with multiple circulars on a single day, consolidating almost all the circulars of that particular subject matter in one master direction. So on 28/11, they have brought in almost for every topic which is covered by an auditor, either in a branch or a central audit environment, in form of a master direction. I think your managing committee team has selected the subjects very nicely so that at least the major part of that master direction would be captured by IRAC norms, advances, variety of topics like long form audit report. But I am going to take you through CAQ utilities and how to prepare ourselves much ahead of time. Along with that, some part of documentation, that how you can do a timely documentation, and probably overall the entire structure of branch audit, whereby the effectiveness of our audit reporting is improved substantially. At the same time, how the responsibility burden can be reduced to the extent of what responsibility one can shoulder as a statutory branch auditor. So let's start quickly with audit planning and execution. Primarily, my focus area of discussion would be like reading, training, preparing plan, code of ethics, AASB guidance note, and then a guiding force from LFAR, because that is also one of the deliverables. The biggest question, what to read. But nowadays, when I interact with the branch auditors, what to read is not the question, The question is why to read. And we listen to a lot of new innovative techniques like AI and all. And we believe that, our entire reading, we can dump it on those, techniques. But the challenge is, I've just listed 2 line items here. There could be multiple, I can make a full presentation only on what to read, maybe for 1.5 hours. But that's not the idea here, Only the AASB website, I'm not even touching CAQ website here. Only these 2 links if you open, I'm sure that you will spend 1 full day only to identify out of this website how much is applicable to us. And where were we till now, And considering this, I believe, our reading must be strengthened throughout the period, not only just when, we are approaching the bank branch audit. As I said, 28/11 is a one good date where, you can just go through the RBI website, find out how many new circulars have come. Just look at the list of circulars. I could list out around 35 circulars which are applicable for commercial banks, out of which at least 25 are directly affecting your bank audit, Maybe there is no change actually, but they have been brought out in such a fashion that anything which was earlier in a different form of a circular, which is brought into one. In 2015, they stopped issuing master circulars. 1st July 2015 was the last series of master circulars. After that, they don't call them as master circulars, but they call it master directions. So look at this link, go through AASB website, starting from, standards on auditing to, all the formats of certificates, guidance note on bank audit, everything you will find on these 2 pages. and which would be very, very useful for all of us. Again, don't stop here. Having a link is one thing, downloading it and sharing it with your team members, that what to read, and how to effectively use it when it comes to audit is very important. And I think for that, the CAQ has understood our problem that we are not much keen to read. They have done one exercise, So we'll take that maybe when we'll talk about CAQ. They have, got two very good utilities. One is a composite utility for bank branch audit. Currently, the 2025 version is available on the website. But I'm sure once the guidance note on bank audit 2026 gets published, maybe any time during this month, immediately you will have a 2026 version, because they have to update the material from guidance note into that. Why all this? One simple reason, we have got 5 fundamental principles of independence as per code of ethics, starting with, integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality and professional behavior. Only one area I would like to have your attention is, like professional competence and due care. Many a times, when we talk about quality comes only if you have enough experience, expertise, or you are ready to have all these tools which are available either through AASB, through CAQ or any other matter. You bring it together and do a good performance, which is ultimately thrown out of your report. Then they would say that yes, there is a quality. Since you are aware that, earlier there used to be around 90% or plus advances were covered by the branch auditors. Now, most of the public sector banks, the percentage has gone down to 70%. And this reduction of 20% have substantially reduced the number of branches under audit by more than 50%, Because as you have large number of branches concentrating like LCBs, MCBs, specialized units, their advances size is quite high. So they certainly, have got less number of branches under audit. And then another important part, those who are doing the audit, there has to be sufficient outcome out of that audit. Now the biggest challenge is attaining and maintaining the professional knowledge and skill. We have the knowledge, Most of the auditors, when we interact, we realize that, they know everything of everything. But when we read the long form audit report, even today we find lot of auditors answering yes, no or not applicable. So if I know everything, then absolutely I should know that, I cannot be answering the LFAR in yes, no or not applicable. Like take example, there are certain questions which I think I'm sure the next speaker, Mr. Lokesh, would be dealing with. Like there's one question on, inter-branch reconciliation. I'm sure 9 out of 10 auditors, when you ask them that how do you answer that, they would say that this is done at head office. Yes or no? People are saying like this, but they are not answering. Yes, that's how you are answering. 9 out of 10 are writing that this is done at head office, whereas anybody who little bit understands the mechanism in a bank, they would appreciate that, there are 2 ways of transactions happening to inter-branch. One is the transaction posted by the branch, and one is the transaction responded by the branch. And both are being reconciled by that branch only. So how can one write that it is being done head office? Fine, writing is very easy, because it's a copy paste from the previous period. Now there is one more person who is going to come and test it, is a peer reviewer. Like I think recently it has been extended, but I think beyond 26 it's not extended. So anyways, it is going to come today or tomorrow. How do you document that it is being done at head office? Because you are only a branch auditor. Neither you take it in writing, nor you document as a minute, that we have been discussed and this was told to us. And I am sure the moment you ask them to give it in writing, the branch officials will not say that They'll say that, okay, fine, we'll show you what we do. And this is one example. There are more than 100 questions in long form audit report. So this attaining and maintaining professional knowledge is something which is being, what you can say, the main important thing out of these principles, which I think we all should keep it in mind. And based on that, whenever we accept this assignment, we must ensure that we update ourselves, like what you are doing. Today, we will be discussing about certain things which have come new. So you will take it back based on your experience of the previous period. Please make a list of all such things which you wish that, last year I should have done it. I missed out on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why cannot I add it today and tell my team members that, okay, fine, this is the program which I am going to follow. This is how I am going to make a audit plan. These are the team members which will be, responsible for these particular activities. And these are certain, books, guidance notes, materials available based on which we will proceed and we'll ensure that the quality of our work is certainly better than the previous year. So to that extent, I thought I would just share this with you. This is a normal audit process we all follow for any statutory audit assignment, so nothing new for the bank branch audit. But here what I wanted your attention is, preparation of an audit program. How many of you have a standardized audit program for bank branch audit? One. Okay, fine. What about others? You're waiting for me to give you an audit program today. How many of you have got a copy of Bank Audit Guidance Note 2025 on your desktop or your laptops? How many of you are continuing auditors of the bank? Because most of them are like 10 auditors are only raising hands. The best audit program in recent past has been, the audit program in appendix attached to the guidance note on banks issued by AASB. And the moment it started coming in around 2012 or 2013, I have, decided not to prepare any audit program, but to take it from there. And CAQ has also exactly done that. It's around 130, 140 line items. If you go through the 2025, CAQ guideline or utility for bank audit, they have picked up that appendix from the ICAI guidance note and they have suggested that it should be done. It's one of the best audit programs for any kind of a branch, whether it's a small branch, big branch, doesn't matter. It's very comprehensive. Apart from that audit program, friends, what you should do is, whenever you have time, just list out items where you faced difficulties in last couple of years during the audit. No, we faced a lot of difficulties during COVID, so ignore that. But say 2022 onwards, if you all have any experience of doing bank branch audit, find out what difficulties you faced. Like prior to 2021, the entire focus of audit program was towards advances, Any branch auditor you ask how much time you have spent on advances, the answer would be more than 50%. But look at 2021 July, that was the deadline, 31st July, that all banks should have a system-based asset classification inbuilt into the CBS or mounted by a software on the CBS. So it's automatically marking of NPAs. Now that is established for almost 4 complete years. This will be the 5th year. Now after this, obviously, the expectation is that all objective-based, rule-based NPA markings is done by the system. So that much job of the auditors is reduced. So you have to balance out that activity with any other activity where you feel that, for achieving your true and fair view, you have to give more weightage for anything further. And that adjustment, I think, in last 4 years, most of the branch auditors have done. You have to continue to do this year also by one addition, that is 28/11/2025, consolidation of lot of circulars on a given specific topic. I am sure nothing, which is directly pointing, which is being added by those circulars, but at the same time, lot of new things you can read in a normal circular, because lot of small circulars have been withdrawn. More than 9,000 circulars have been withdrawn while issuing this 28 November consolidation, master directions. 35 they have issued for commercial banks. And this time what they have done is, like I was going through that program next week on cooperative audit. For cooperative also they have issued around 30 circulars, They are also master directions, combining a lot of material which was available for urban banks into one circulars. They have issued separate for small finance bank, separate for RRBs, and separate for NBFCs. Very nicely drafted circulars in terms of, readability of that circular. Then coming to, audit execution. There's one area of execution which is through computer or through CBS system. One is through other audit trail which is available, like documents, registers, papers, files. And one very important is, back office work, like all your checklists, all your, discussion sheets, all your experience which you bring in. So while doing an execution, two important factors which are, very crucial for the entire outcome of our audit. One is how to link the entire observations up to the final conclusion, so that they are being brought into the long form audit report or the main audit report. So cross-referencing of all the items, starting with preparation of audit program, who is responsible for doing that particular activity, how that activity needs to be carried out, the guidance from the partner or a proprietor that if this is the particular point which we are auditing, these are the basic checks and balances one should do, and then actual performance, that what was the materiality, based on that materiality, how a sample was selected, based on the sample selected, what was the result of testing of those samples, and based on that test of that sampling, what is your observation? Are you satisfied with the sample, or you would like to go into additional sampling, maybe more coverage, maybe deep diving, or maybe coming to a conclusion that you may not conclude even if you check 100%. Now this particular execution is where we find that lot of documentation problems we face. The biggest problem is, that there is no uniformity in our team members writing the queries. Each one has its own method of writing, and at the end of the day, nobody summarizes it. So please ensure that, from day one of, visiting the branch, tell your team that whoever writes whatever query, it has to be reviewed by the senior most member in that branch team, and they should hand it over to the branch manager in the evening, saying that these are our observations for the day. Next day morning, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever you decide, your observations with answers should come, or wherever required, a document should be attached. If you do this process, then the partner or the proprietor who visits that branch, maybe if it's a local branch, then it's very difficult to visit, because we are all so busy that we don't find time there. When we go for an outstation, there also we are a lot of busy, because we go for a purpose, But please carve out time in that, visit the branch, and ensure that whatever is the observation of your team, whether it's appropriately answered by the branch manager, and if yes, then you have to write in hand, by hand, stating that, fine, I am okay with this answer, this query will not further go to any other place. If you are not satisfied, there could be two options. One, you may redraft a query, ask for additional information, and then close it. Or you can conclude that based on this evidence, maybe an adjustment is to be passed, so MOC will be prepared. Any comment in my long form audit report is warranted. Probably I'll write and define, okay, this particular point will be reported at para 7.3 of LFAR. So that, at the end when somebody is preparing LFAR, compiling LFAR, there is a ready-made answer for a particular point. Or the most important thing, if it is going beyond a control for the auditor to comment upon true and fair, maybe it will attract a modified opinion under SA 705 and maybe an audit report is modified. I'll give a good example for this, I remember last year there was one branch auditor who had a branch of around 120 crores advances, out of which one account was 110 crores. He made that account NPA from first quarter and he reversed the interest. There was a technical problem because of which he has to do that. But surprising fact that because of this, the entire branch, 90% of advances became NPA. Now the question to him was, do I need to certify this as a true and fair view? Because the branch was having, say, 120 crores advances, out of which 110, the branch was classifying as standard. The auditor made it substandard. So he, worked out a methodology and he made sure that the qualification come, saying that it does not give true and fair view because the material misstatements are beyond my materiality. ROMM, risk of material misstatements. Fair, But I've seen auditors who do this sometimes, in the past, prior to 21, because nowadays automatic interest reversal happens because of the system. Earlier, they were used to reverse the system, the interest, and the auditor had to reverse the interest. A branch which was in profit prior to audit, because of the MOCs goes into loss. And even after that, the auditor says that it's giving true and fair view. This true and fair view is very limited to that particular branch. So that does not impact the true and fair view of a bank as a whole, because the materiality levels are different for the bank, different for the branch. And that's where again CAQ will help you. CAQ utility on materiality starts with a concept of profitability that is generally applicable for bank as a whole. You can go with other items and you can define materiality different levels for income, expenditure, asset and liability. And on asset side also, you can have two different levels of materialities. One is for advances, which you can go based on, something like 10% of total advances or 10 crores, whichever is lower, as mentioned in long form audit report, plus anything of your choice based on your experience. Like some of the auditors, pick up top 20 accounts. Some select top 10, bottom 5. It's a choice, but minimum threshold is provided for advances. For all other advances, like other assets, fixed assets, sundries, suspense, you can select whatever best suits to you based on your experience. Generally, you can have a percentage of total liability or percentage of total asset, so that, there is some basis which is consistently followed by your team. Also ensure that, any assessment done by your team doesn't get closed. Till that time, you should not sign the audit report. Otherwise, in the peer review process, what happens is, when somebody looks at your working paper files, there are so many open-ended items. And based on, the name peer itself is for the same, that, somebody who comes in with enough experience to look at your working papers. And if they ask you a question whether you have, concluded this either by passing a MOC or not passing an MOC, you don't have a document, then it's a challenge. So at least ensure that even a small Word, Excel sheet will work, that your comment is mentioned, the observations of the team are mentioned, the response from the branch is mentioned. You can add one more column on the right and say that I'm happy with the answer, stop here. I'm unhappy with the answer, it's not conclusive, so ask for further question. Or probably you can say that, okay, report this particular line item in long form audit report, so your report is concluded. This cross-referencing throughout in the execution is very important. Obviously, you will have a separate session on long form audit report, so reporting aspects will be covered in that. My sincere request to you was, that reporting has to be effective, And what I mean by effective is, there has to be a input given by the branch auditors to the central auditors so that they can take that point forward. That's the idea, since you all are aware that SS 600 applies to this particular audit, the central auditor is the main auditor and the branch auditor becomes a component auditor. And absolutely the standard which the central auditor is expected to work, the same standard is expected from the branch auditors. And that's where the word effective is very important. No doubt, because of peer review, all of us have realized that, documentation is also equally important. But otherwise, SA 230 was revised last in 2011 or so. Recently also it was revised in 2025. Lot of material is available on SA 230. So during our discussion, probably we'll go through some of those issues as well. At present, only 2025 available, so I thought I'll just share with you. But maybe anytime 2026 is available. This technical guide is still valid, and I think next session of Lokesh would be based on most of the inputs from this. And if your branch is covered by the central auditors for testing the internal financial control, if that branch is scoped branch for testing of IFC, then you as a branch auditor will have to issue a audit report for internal financial controls. And for branch, there would be a specific checklist which most of the times the central auditors would share with you. Again, for that there is a separate guidance note. Please follow all this while testing that particular. Apart from CBS, as I said, so many registers etc. are maintained. The day one of your branch audit is very crucial. Instead of asking what material you want, what papers you want, what is your sample, the questions asked to you is, sir, how many of veg and how many non-veg, Then if you have article members in your team, then the first thing they will say, there's a very good temple here. Whoever goes and bows down, certainly clears CA exam. Avoid that, When they take you for a lunch, go to a best restaurant, And best restaurant in any city in India is the restaurant where at least it's 1 hour far from the branch. You'll spend at least 2 quality hours in that restaurant. So out of your first day, 4 hours are gone. And then next day, obviously, sir, kal to ye ho gaya, aaj dusri jagah jayenge. So so the target is little different. Our target should be, to have a clear focus. So on day one, list out all this. Ensure that whatever is available, make a list of that. Like what type of registers available, what type of records available, what type of prints available, what type of MIS available through system. In long form audit report in 2020, RBI has updated one question on MIS, And the interesting answers which we read through that MIS, no MIS is the answer last time I saw. So I called up the auditor. I said, what is the meaning of no MIS in the answer? How do I read it? So the argument, no means no. Can you all guess what is no MIS ka meaning? Is it that the bank doesn't have a MIS? Is it that the auditor doesn't get the MIS? Is it that the branch is not looking at MIS, it's there? It's that branch is looking at MIS but auditor is not getting it. So there has to be a clarity, and that's where this important things, like data made available, whatever management information system. Like if you ask for an information, if it is not received, I would request you to write that in the long form audit report. And if that information is very crucial, to form a view on true and fair view, I think you have every right to say that in the main audit report also. But just don't ignore it in good faith, that I did not get information, so let it be. I'll take responsibility. It happens sometimes, like if you ask for any printout, even if it is in one page, they'll teach you a lot of things about, the earth is ruining ourselves. We don't want to cut the trees. For that A4 size one paper, you have to cut 4 trees and all so many things they'll say. Just show them the dustbin there, They'll get the answer. Or simplest thing, use this. You all agree with me that, our team members have got more efficient and more better camera phones nowadays. Ask them to take a photo, convert that into PDF, have a dedicated email ID, push it there, your automatic documentation happens, Or ask them to generate a PDF of any print. Ask them to share a mail to you. No doubt, DPD Act has, further strengthened their answer that we can't share this data. But we have to also read that and understand that, unless there is a confidential information about a borrower, other information can very well be shared with the auditor, You sign a declaration at the time of acceptance, which says that, we will maintain confidentiality. So a lot of material available actually, there is one question in long form audit report whether branch computerization is 100%. And we do write that it's 100%, But I always believe that 100% comma plus so much manual records are still maintained and they are still relied upon. That's, I think, something we should write. The basic requirements, as I said, you can pick it up from the Guidance Note 2026, branch audit sector, and in that there would be an appendix in which you will have a branch audit program. What it covers broadly is being listed here. So if you find that anything is missing in it, you can have it, like, applicable act, appointment letter, closing manual, NOC from previous auditor, audit engagement letter, basic information from the branch, audit program checklist, RBI circulars. This becomes a very good permanent file, for your peer review. Just take a print of this, attach it in your working paper file, and, flag off all the papers below it, and that would be a good permanent file for you all. How many of you have a practice of issuing engagement letters? See, many a times, branch managers do not agree to sign, right? Please write this in that long form audit report, anything for the attention of the central auditors, so that, they will ensure that it is being signed. This time I had suggested, that we should write in the guidance note itself that it should be addressed to the branch where you are auditing. And we should, address to the central auditors of banks, ICAI as a whole, that, the branch auditors must get an engagement letters duly signed by the branches. So it works this time, then it will save some, efforts of yours. NOC. We get a lot of questions, that is it a must? We have a very limited time. No concession so far as, at least I know. You have no choice but to take a NOC. This slide I think we can skip because I personally believe we'll just have a look at CAQ in that this all is covered under 130 items. Broadly, the entire scope coverage, asset liability, income, expenditure, then IRAC norms, so income recognition, asset classification requirements, then sundries, suspense, so other items, then the questionnaire in, long form audit report, the certificates, I think recently in the month of February, or I think in the month of March, this first week of March, RBI has released the list of certificates to be signed by the banks. Normally they do it in the month of August, when the appointment letters are issued to the bank's central auditors or, auditors of smaller banks. This time they have revised it and some 20 odd certificates will be expected by RBI. So there would be some modifications this time. Plan it in advance, bring it together with the audit program. Certificates are such, like sometimes after you sign the branch and you come to your office, you get a phone call from the branch manager that, sir, one certificate is missing. Madam, one certificate is missing. Has anybody exercised this earlier, experienced this? And in that case, what is their expectation is, they have sent you a scanned copy, you have to sign and send it. So they believe that there is no need of auditing it. And some of our auditors friends also believe that, So ensure that on day one in your audit program, you figure out how these certificates would be tested by you. And then we can have, a segregation of, are we giving a certificate which is giving an absolute assurance? are we giving a certificate which is part of an audit process, so I would give a reasonable assurance, or even if I'm doing it along with an audit, there are certain types of certificates where I cannot give even a reasonable assurance. So can we give a limited assurance? So you have to analyze and review. This could be based on, your earlier experience. I'll give you a small example. I think I've got a slide on that also. Like most of us who get a chance to do audit of Moffisil area branch, where there are number of accounts which are, say, agriculture advances, and we have to give a certificate on interest subvention, where the sample is very minuscule which is drawn, and based on that we rely a lot or a greater extent to the system generated MIS, because nowadays system is throwing that report. So such kind of cases where you can certainly draft a certificate which would demonstrate a limited assurance, and ICAI permits that. There is a separate utility on certificates for chartered accountants. In that it is clearly demonstrated how one should do it. I can tell you, as a central auditor, we have been giving this as a limited assurance for a good number of years now, and that is being accepted by the regulator. Since we have talked about CAQ utilities, I thought I'll just share with you. This is how the CAQ website looks like. I'm sorry for last minute, because I just taken a print screen and attached it here, so there is no link here. But you can see that on top, ICAI.org, Center for Audit Quality Directorate. And in this website, on this right hand side, what's new is appearing. Just scroll it down, and I think 20 links are provided, and they all are really, really useful. I thought, for our bank branch audit exercise, there are 4 which are directly useful. At least you can start with testing of that. So first one is Utility for Bank Branch Audit 2025 version 2. Version 2 was like they issued version 1. After the guidance note was published, they issued the version 2, so that the updated version was available. Same thing will happen now. You can check maybe after 5 days or 6 days. Probably you will have a 2026 version 1, which will be a new version after incorporation of all the changes which are happening because of the change in guidance note on Bank Audit 2026. Second one is checklist for certificates issued by chartered accountants. Apart from that, there are 2 good publications of ICAI which are also listed there on how to issue certificates. There was one earlier 2016 guidance note on issuance of special purpose reports and certificates. Almost similar lines. They have got issued 2 very nice publications, and it's worth using for other audits and other certifications as well. I think they are mentioned. Handbook on certificates by chartered accountants, PDF file and Word file. So PDF file, it becomes very tough to copy paste. Sometimes the images appear, etc. So Word document is also available. You have to just click on it. You can download that. It's again an interesting document, If you remember, I said when we'll talk about standards on auditing or documentation, I'll share with you. This is a version 2 of, review and monitoring tool on standards on auditing. And this has been one of the fantastic tools developed by the CAQ. And if you copy paste this, apply it for all your audit engagements. I mean, when I say audit engagements, it's statutory audit, because essays largely apply to the statutory audit. They are so nicely drafted that, step-by-step approach for understanding, starting from essay 200 till essay 700 series, 800 in case if you are doing an interim financial statements. Excellent program. This applies to bank branch audit as well. There are many auditors who don't believe that, but those who have undergone a peer review process may probably accept that. All standards apply to every audit. And the last but not the least, determining materiality. Like those who have qualified recently, they can at least identify what was materiality when they prepared and wrote for an exam. But actually when we go for an audit, we forget all that, So these utilities gives us a chance to revisit that, read it, and probably based on our experience, we can make out, oh, I was doing this. Only thing I was not knowing that this is a materiality. So I was not documenting it. So this helps us in doing the documentation part more effective than what we were doing prior to this. What are the basic conditions? You should have a membership number, an email ID, a mobile number, and your name. 4 things you should put in once the utility is opened, and then it gets downloaded on your machine. Once you download it, you can use it multiple times on your desktop. You can download it also multiple times. So if you have 2 laptops, you can do it on both. If you have 10 desktops, on all 10 desktops, you can copy paste that, or you can use it through a pen drive also. Let me see if it opens. This is a bank branch audit checklist. So what you should do is just go through the checklist. First is attendance, Many a times we don't know who attended which branch for how many days. So you can put one person on that job. You can write attendance here. Write the name here, designation, and all drop down. You cannot edit much, Only the options will be they are all macros. So you can't edit the field. You can only input the field, So very nicely done. Say we'll say qualified assistant. Then you can write the date from to. So here you have to date of commencement and mark presence. So here the moment you write this date, automatically the drop down folder will start giving those dates. And then automatically these number dates are calculated. And you can go on adding up to 10, it's done. You can go up to 20 also. You can just insert the row and it gets added. Second one is MOCs. So day 1, whatever entries, adjustments you want to record, keep doing it in this Excel file. So automatically it builds up and you can automatically generate a summary of account number, category, debit, credit for our understanding, increase, decrease for the understanding of bankers, because bankers do pass entries through increase, decrease. And our team understands debit, credit more. So a recall of that will help us. This is something which is very interesting, Normally, out of these 23 items, some of the items we touch base with long form audit reports, some based on our experience of previous years, but not all. And certainly not all are documented. So here are some 25 items which are identified. You can say, once you write an answer here and included, not included or other matter paras, at least a broad areas which may impact your audit report are being captured. Say for example, you have an inter-branch reconciliation, we discussed that. If the branch is not showing you the reconciliation, please write here and say that I have included in long form audit report. So that a summary of all your observations are being captured at one place, and this becomes a very good valid document for the next year's plan, That which area you want to have a thrust area, which area you need more team members for doing work, so that you can certainly make. And this is also like a drop down. You can say yes, no, not applicable. Just a minute. Communication with those charged with governance. Typically this sheet will come as blank because for a branch auditor, it's not a complete set of financial statements which you audit. So naturally there is no need to follow 260 to go up to the persons charged with governance. So if at all anything for you to be written here will be stopped at the level of referring to a central statutory auditor. Beyond that, not applicable. This is very interesting, and this particular file, this particular sheet is very good for you to define how you should draft your audit report in any other audit also. And this is very nice. I'll just give you a hands-on experience, Like look at this question. Nature of matter giving rise to the modification. Financial statements are materially misstated. So let's take an example of what we discussed. There was one account which was wrongly stated as standard. So here obviously you will say in a drop down, yes. Did you see the change what happened once I said yes? Here audit opinion automatically changed. Look at this. Till now it was an unmodified opinion. The moment I have a material misstatement which I have identified, it says give more details to ascertain what type of report I have to issue. So you have to move to the next line, inability to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Now in case of the point which we discussed, you will not have this difficulty because account is live, you could test it and you could only find out that this is NPA. So there is no such case. So the now no answer would continue. Then material but not pervasive. Now that is what you have to decide. So you would say no, this is material but not pervasive. Then only qualified. Because you know that this is only one account where this problem is. It's not applicable for the entire population. So immediately it says give a qualified opinion. Qualified opinions means SA 705. If it is no answer and you believe that this is material and pervasive, like say for example, you have a branch of agriculture advances where rollover is done without repayment of interest or without repayment of the previous loan, or you have a gold loan where based on LTV, they have sanctioned a new loan for the existing security without recovering the interest on completion of the previous loan. Say 100 is my loan, 10 rupees is my interest. So on maturity, on bullet date 110 is what I should get. Instead, the borrower comes and says, when I did last assessment, the gold value was 70,000. Today it's 1,20,000. So my LTV is more. So I am eligible for say 35,000 more. So roll it over for 135. So bank says fine. Your LTV is 135, fits it. I give you 135. So they recover 10 from that 135. That is not acceptable. 10 should have been recovered first, then the rollover is permitted. And that's a stand by and large is being taken by most of the banks. So if that's not the case and you say that it's pervasive, see immediately it changes to an adverse opinion. And all these you can pick it up from 700 series. And this is not only for bank branch audit, but this will be useful for all other audits from this year, And this is a very good sheet. I think this will be a thing. Here it's all defined also. Like in which scenario you identified an unmodified opinion, modified, pervasive, misstatement, all defined. So your documentation is very complete, when it comes to writing of a report, provided you follow this. If at all you need, you can make one more Excel sheet separately giving justification for what is mentioned here. Because you may not be able to put everything in one sheet, So you can write, okay, there were 5 items where we found difficulty. Like office accounts for that matter, sundry, suspense or any other asset, other liability. The reconciliation is not provided. So in that case, you have to give a disclaimer of opinion because enough data or enough information is not made available based on which you can judge and you can comment. So all these things, you can pick it up from this sheet. These are the total templates which you do prior to issuing this particular kind of a composite Excel sheet. What generally the auditors were doing that, they used to write to the branch saying that kindly share this information with us. These are starting with closing returns like balance sheet, etc. and starting with all the certificates. up to Jilani Ghosh committee, category wise claim. So by and large, what we said, that from beginning you should plan for the certificates also. The CAQ has also brought it like this. So when you open the file, you know that these are the pending things. Status of compliance and comments, you can write as much you can. Here it would be yes, no, not applicable. So wherever the certificates are not applicable, just click on not applicable. Ensure that, once you start following this, no question can go unanswered, The moment you say unanswered, you kept it as it is. Say for example, blank. This one is blank. So similarly, if you keep other things blank, then it will not allow you to close. Sign off nahi karne dega. They'll say that, okay, pending things hai, complete karo. The sheet which I showed you about my working papers, permanent file, something similar. Acceptance, engagement, communication to previous auditor, standard representation letter, and then all the SA compliances. Look at this, SA 2102, SA 720. Now this is very limited portion. The one which we saw, auditing assurance standards compliance, is all composite. It's quite exhaustive. So at least this is bare minimum one can do. Again, if you click on this hyperlink, the internet may not be there. It goes to that particular ICAI resource. Now you can see that. Opening HTTPS resource CD and ICAI. So wherever there is a hyperlink in the CAQ, that goes to ICAI study material only. So you don't have to check whether it is a genuine material or not. It only refers to ICAI standard. If you go through any other mode like any other search engine or AI, you really don't know what is the source. Here, I can assure you, CAQ has given a declaration also that our material is sourced from ICAI only. So regulator for us, so we can rely on it, Then here, compliance, yes, no, not applicable. And based on your answer, the comments would be also fade in. This is a very interesting dashboard. I think we have a separate session on that, so we'll not go into much detail. Purely LFAR, So the one which I suggested you, that there has to be a cross-linking of all work done, starting from audit plan, execution to reporting. This one single utility gives you that. These are all, various checks like questions, answers. Look at this, at present, yet to be started. All 20 out of 20 yet to be started in cash. So again, click on cash. You will go to this. Here, five options: yet to be started, not applicable, work in process, query raised, completed and no adverse comments, completed but with adverse comments. Let us say completed with no adverse comments. Then you have an option, working papers file 1, you can say comments, date, obviously it would be somewhere in the month of April, so let's say 5th April. Prepared by, it will be picking up a name from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever names you have put in. So let's say H. Date of review, again, since I have not put in a date, so anything April, starting date to end date ka koi bhi date aa jayega either, and reviewed by, say J. So this one file will give you everything. Now what change it makes, go to the dashboard. Look at this. Total checks 20, yet to be started 19, because one we have already done and answered, and look at this. Completed and no adverse comments. So in case of cash, for example, in all these cases, if I say this percentage will go on increasing, 16, and here it's 1, completed, but with adverse comments 3. So the reader, on any given point of time, just looking at this one checklist, comes to know what is the current status of work done, and this is called performance. And this is documented because this file will have all the dates stamped on your machine. It's a very good utility, and this covers all the points of long form audit report. Look at this. This is miscellaneous, then foreign exchange, clearinghouse, NPA branches. Then this talks about GST compliance and IFCO FR also. Like there would be certain branches where scoping would be done. Branch auditor would be required to, prepare IFCO FR report. So all the things standard, obviously. Each bank will have its own structure, but at least 9 items. The moment you say it's done, completed, you can the last one is IFCO F1. So 9 items, entire guidance note is covered, entire standards on auditing covered, entire LFAR covered, entire IFCO FR covered. And you have an option, you can have one more sheet for you, that whatever is missing here, you can give a reference and you can still do it. I think this is a game changer for all of us. If we do this, 2 advantages. Number 1, nothing important is missed out by our team. Number 2, you get tremendous confidence while signing that at least the minimum requirements as suggested by our regulators are being completed. Similarly, we can have a look at this, only how the file looks like. Look at this index, Once you feed all the data, name of the client, certificate number, subject, etc., and then applicability, procedure, completion checklist, go on answering it, automatically all the 20, 30 certificates will be covered. This is a more composite one. The entire objective is picked up from Essay 200. This is a team, indicative goals. This is a broader term. If you have time, you can do it. Otherwise, those 10, 12 standards are good enough, which are in part of bank audit guidance note. Here also same structure, Go to Essay 200 through a dashboard. First, decide whether it's applicable or not. Half of that would be not applicable because those which are applicable for bank as a whole will not be applicable for branch. So first you do that, and then obviously the answers based on the moment you say an answer, the dashboard will get automatically updated. Here, total checks 32, not answered 31. 1 is completed. And this completion 100% you achieve, till that time this file will keep on popping up that it's not yet complete. There are 2 methods of doing it, Like there's a game of bow and arrow. So there is one bullseye and somebody hits an arrow. So if you hit the center, then it's called bullseye and will get the maximum. Second method is you first hit the arrow and then draw the circles, So checklist gives you this disadvantage. But date and time stamping gives you a comfort that it is done concurrently during the audit process, and that is called effective documentation. Last but not the least important is materiality. Again, this is independent. It can be applicable to all types of audit, including branch. How to determine materiality? There are 4 or 5 methods in which you can. One is, non-profit making activity. One is a profit making activity. And, you can have others, So some guidance is also given, steps are given, and based on that, you can calculate the materiality. So you can write name of entity, etc., all the details. Determine whether this is high risk or low risk, and a summation of that would give you a percentage, like it is 62%. So I think there is some error in downloading it. Up to 10% it's called low risk. 10 to 80 I think it is medium risk, and 80 and above it becomes a high risk. So this would be particularly a medium risk, and then you can put an amount. So if it is a profit oriented organization, so this will not be applicable to branch, because branch is not a profit making activity. Reason, very simple, the complete set of financial statements are not prepared. Otherwise one would technically say that every branch is open to make business and business is run only to make profits. But lot of entries are passed at head office which will determine the actual profitability at the branch. So you can decide based on any other item, and you can say advances. See, you have to select entity, startup, profit oriented, not for profit, debts, financial, liquidity, etc. So we do it on debt, and here you can write the total advances, and based on that you can define the materiality. Like 10%, one option. You can go based on income, expenditure, asset, liability. For all four, you can have a separate materiality also. The moment you identify a change, on the next sheet you have to write the change, like which are the types of errors you identified. Are they rectified? If rectified, then there is no risk of material misstatement, because they are not pervasive in nature, you did not go and dig up further. But if there are queries which you have identified, MOCs you have identified, they have not agreed to it, then they will come on the right hand side, uncorrected errors. And the moment they come in uncorrected errors, then absolutely what is important is to write a qualified opinion, because the MOCs are not given effect in your balance sheets. So I think these are very good tools. We call about a lot of audit tools, but the challenge is we don't get enough access to data. Number two, if we get an access to data, it is not in the format in which we can analyze it. So I think this sheet from a back end can at least support us to maintain enough documentation for what work we do, and this becomes a very good evidence of work performed. All this brings to reporting. We have already discussed the methodology in which report can be identified. CAM directly not applicable. 700 is a standard report which is unqualified, unmodified opinion. CAM's not applicable, but why I have picked it up, because some of the central auditors in their communication to the branch auditor recommend that if you have any point which may build up as a CAM for an audit, you should send it. So for that it's applicable. Rest all we discussed, modification, other matter, EOM, wherever you are of the opinion that something needs to be identified, can be given. LFAR, obviously, next session we'll have it, but some points we just thought. I thought I had given you this, look at this, reasonable assurance versus limited assurance. A simple example, where we don't have enough data on which we can test, and we are relying on something generated by the system, and the sample is very minuscule. It's always good to go for a limited assurance. So a small comparison. Again, you will find this in the handbook, which I had shown in the slide, CAQ handbook on issuing certificates. There also it's clearly mentioned. This picked up from that only. We have already seen the standards, but I thought if somebody wants it, just hyperlink is given. You can just go through various standards. SA 200 series entirely applies straight away. There is no scope to deviate. 300 also, because unless you have a risk assessment, you cannot determine the materiality and determine the sample. So please go through it. 400 series. Evidence, without which you can't survive. And in the era of peer review being mandatory to all bank branch auditors, you have to show that there was a performance. You have to show that there is a paper for every comment you make in either your main audit report or in your audit program or maybe your long form audit report. So cross-linking. Written representations, Many a time, MRL is the one which we take and we say that we are complying. It's not only MRL. Like take example of the same case which we discussed about certificate, Like if management is relying on system generated report, get a statement from the branch signed that, okay, this is system generated and they have not verified it. Which will they easily will tell that, this is a system generated report. Many of the times, central auditors are removing the certificates from branch auditors certification. Reason is that they are certificates generated by the system. So they are being tested at head office level by the central auditors. Many of them it's not applicable, like going concern, SA 570. It will not be applicable for the branch. So go through that CAQ utility on bank audit. First determine whether it is applicable or not. The moment it's not applicable, obviously you can ignore it. But I thought I'll just refresh my knowledge as well as your knowledge about how many standards are there. So I just thought I'll copy paste all the standards here. They have been copied from that AASB website which I saw you, which I shown you in the first couple of slides. This is something which is very crucial, and I'd like to take a minute of yours on that. You all are aware about SS 600 very much. So we'll talk about that later. 610, depending on work of internal auditors, if you have a concurrent auditor, please ensure that, you get the sufficient information about the performance of the concurrent audit. Performance in the sense, what areas they have tested, what is the observations, what are the discussion points and how they have concluded. And you do mention that somewhere in the report, either in long form audit report or maybe a main audit report if you are taking a cognizance of certain things out of it. Also ensure that, SS 600, the way it has been revised over a number of years now. Recently, we were auditors of one entity which is a subsidiary of another entity. And now the central auditor of that entity, where consolidation takes place under SS 600, can come to our office and inspect our documentation process, including our quality processes. So till now, everybody was believing that at the same level of expectation is maintained by the branch auditor. Now it will go further one step, whereby the consolidating auditor or the group auditor will come and test with your documents to establish or to satisfy that the work was performed according to the expectation. So apart from peer review, this could be an additional review which would come to you probably, or you may have to demonstrate that, what was given a guidance, we have followed it and these are the papers. And to that extent, SS 600 is very crucial. Experience wise, I could say that, recently experience was shared. Like A was a branch auditor and B was central auditor. There was a communication, closing guidelines, etc., in which this SS 600 communication was to be signed. The branch auditor declined to sign that SS 600 communication, stating that, it was not told. So I suggested the central auditor, you have a word with the branch auditor. And the moment they had a word exchange, the central auditor told the branch auditor that if you do not sign that, then I would not come to know from your office that whether the work has been performed according to expectations which we have listed out, and we will consider your branch as not audited. The moment it was said like that, within 5 minutes, the signed copy of the SS 600 report came. We have to understand that, it's a effort which is a joint audit. So SA 299 also applies, but SA 600 more so, because branch audit, we still have an incomplete financial set of interest. Accounting, that is being brought in and a consolidation is taking at head office place. So one slide summarizes everything about documentation, SA 230, prepare document that provides sufficient and appropriate record of basis of auditor's report and evidence that audit was planned and performed in accordance with SAs. And if you list out all the items in these 3 boxes, they are covered only in one Excel sheet, that is the bank audit utility by CAQ. You will have accounting standards there, you will have a standard audit program, you will have a reporting requirements of statutory audit report, long form audit report and certificates, all put together and one single file, so automatically it's all cross-referenced. So I think while preparing CAQ, a checklist, the entire team has given a very good thought about this particular slide also. Not the last one, but just to conclude, those who have already undergone will appreciate that. Those who are peer reviewers would certainly take it forward in this fashion. But those who have not prepared themselves for the audit, the peer review, please ensure that this is inspection of examination of documents, other records maintained by the unit. Form and content could be anything, but there has to be a paper which provides it. It could be a soft copy, it could be an email, whatever. They should have audit evidence and they are cross-referenced. And the updation of working papers, not just compiling just before somebody comes for a peer review. In your normal clients, probably you will have an access to them if they are continuing clients. In case of bank branches, till the time you have to sign that statements, you are next to God. If that manager doesn't go to a temple every day, that's fine, but he'll make sure that you are satisfied till the last. But the moment you sign off, you are a complete stranger for that fellow, So please mind it. And working papers should be properly filed in order to ensure that they are easily retrievable. This particular CAQ utility gives us a great comfort that the utility itself speaks for what work you have done in a particular process. Rather than, our scattered file, which generally it's become very difficult for even us to read after 3 months' time or 6 months' time. So I think the takeaways for the day is, number 1, we are lucky if we get the audit. So do a performance that, many more than us can get a chance. So the important words are audit quality. We have a choice to improve. A lot of other techniques also can do, but CAQ is something which will support us like anything. And make merry of all the technical discussions going to happen in the 2 sessions today and 3 sessions tomorrow. Go back, train your team, give them enough ammunition to fight this war. I think that brings me to the end. Once again, thanks to the chairman and the entire team for giving me this opportunity. And thank you to you all for listening through. If you have some questions and time for questions, probably we'll take it. Otherwise, I think I was told that there is a separate session at the end where, there would be a panel discussion and we can take it there. Thank you very much, friends.
Thank you, Niranjan sir, for such an insightful as well as enriching session. Your deep knowledge and the practical insights on the audit planning and documentations with compliance of SS and CAQs have truly added great value for all of us. More importantly, your session has set the tone for the next 2 days of this bank audit conference. On behalf of everyone present here, we sincerely thank you for sharing your time and experience with us. Thank you once again, sir. Thank you so much. Can we have a big round of applause for him?